I'm Batuan, and I'll be the host today. Let me start by giving a bit of an introduction about the Startup Club and the work we do here. So we are an international entrepreneur community. We organize events, and our events help entrepreneurs to connect with investors, startups, mentors, and other key players in the startup ecosystem across the globe. We also offer a wide range of services such as business plan, social media design, fundraising service, and business valuation. And today we have 5 great innovative companies lined up to present their businesses. Just to quickly, give summary of the presenting companies, we have Remedly, will be the first one to present his businesses. Remedly combines all of the necessary software needed by clinics into one integrated solution. And the second company is TESSAN. They aim to democratize the opportunity to access healthcare through augmented telemedicine solutions. And the third company is Implandata Ophthalmic Products. They transform the treatment of glaucoma via proprietary mite system that they design and develop. And the fourth company is Aeris Biotechnologies. They develop in-home treatment kit that target and control dust mite population, which cause asthma and other allergies. And the last company is AIHCON, which stands for All Inclusive Healthcare Omni Network. They have a comprehensive practice management solution. And as mentioned, we will have 5 advisors today with us. And I will ask them to introduce themselves, but just quickly to go through it. We have Dominique with us today. She's an investor at Borsky Funds, and she represents Ando Investments. And we have Andres from Plug and Play Tech Centers, he's Ventures. We have Newsy, Vice President of Startup Banking at Silicon Valley Bank. We have Javier at Sofinova Partners, and Ada is a venture lead of New Chip Accelerators. Dominique, could you please introduce yourself?
Yes, very briefly. My name is Professor Dr. Delport. I've been in the business of venture management since 8 years, representing Borsky Funds, my own fund under investments, and Aquatigris Investments, which is a family-led ventures in smart technology and agri-food. And I have been asked by Batuhan to be part of the jury.
Yeah.
With much of pleasure. My special focus is on female health innovation, but I have the broader scope of the whole innovation field, so to speak.
Great. Thank you so much for being with us today. And Andres, would you like to introduce yourself as well? Okay, I guess Andres is not here right now. Newsy, could you please introduce yourself? Newsy, sorry, now you can unmute yourself. Yeah, okay.
There we go. Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that.
Thanks for having me. My name is Newsy. I'm VP of Startup Banking for Healthcare and Life Science, based in Los Angeles. My background is as an operator at various startups. Started my startup journey working at a men's grooming company called Dollar Shave Club on the consumer side, then went into healthcare and worked at various healthcare startups, consulted, was a mentor through Techstars LA, and yeah, now I'm here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, Newsy. And Ada? would you like to introduce yourself as well?
Yes, of course. Thank you for having me here, Baton. I am venture team lead with New Chip, a remote accelerator prioritizing VC readiness and fundraising for early stage startups. So I interview founders. I've been with New Chip for around a year, a little bit over a year now. I've spoken to several thousand early stage startups from kind of pitch deck review to general admissions into New Chip. And I'm excited to see these startups today. Thank you.
Great, thanks so much, Ada. And Javier, could you please also introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone.
Great.
Hey, thanks, Baton, for having us. I'm Javier, I'm a senior associate at Sofinova Partners. We're one of the biggest life science specialist VC funds in Europe with 2.5 billion assets under management. Me particularly, I'm most interested in the intersection between software and healthcare, and sort of how we can scale healthcare delivery to be better than it is today. My background's in clinical medicine, so he's the doc in the NHS. And after that, sort of gravitated towards venture and a number of funds. Thanks very much. I'm looking forward to the discussion today.
So thank you for the great introduction, Javier. I'm just checking Andres again. Okay, I guess we're still not there. Okay, then I think we can go to our next page, and I'm sure Andres will join later and introduce himself when he joins. First pitch will be done by Alexander from Remedly. Alexander is the CTO of the company. Alexander, please feel free to introduce yourself and share your screen and start your presentation.
Yes, hello. My name is Alexander Alyshoev. I am a CTO of Remedly. I have a PhD in applied math and computer science from Moscow University. And I am in software business for, I would say, too many years. Even just scary to say how many. And I joined Remedly, which I will be presenting now about a little more than 4 years, and enjoy working and improving healthcare solutions for different medical practice. And I can start my presentation.
Great. Thank you, Alexander. Yes.
I believe I need to share. I will stop video to better connection. I will share my screen.
Yep.
I should be able to do that. I hope you can see screens. Am I right?
Yes. Yes, we do.
Okay, let me start slideshow. Yes. I'm sorry, I need to move stuff around. Okay, so Remedly, it's a software company, and we provide ERP solutions for small and mid-sized practices to optimize all operations and all necessary things which small and medium-sized practices needs to do daily. That's a glossary because I'm sending that deck, so just in case I put here glossary for abbreviation we use in the presentation, but probably this educated crowd knows all this stuff. So company based in San Francisco. Our team is about 40 people, 5 in US and 34 in Eastern Europe, most people now in Poland. We have customer basic matrix, our customer lifetime value. It's a vary because we have different type of clients. We have a single provider in mental health space, which pretty much it's about 5,000 per year, and multiply by 5 years, it's 25,000. And also we have bigger companies who use our CM or billing solution, and they're paying between like 3,000 and 5,000 per month. In this case, for 5 years, it would be 200K or even more. Our customer acquisition cost, it's vary, but average it's about 6,000. Our revenue for this year, we will be a little over 1 million, it's closer to 1.1 million. And our customer growth for this year, it's about 35–40%. This I introduce our partners because we did integration with our software with different technology partners. And Doctor First, it's for prescriptions. Trizeta, it's a clearinghouse connecting us to different healthcare, different insurance companies. LK, it's technology partner for data transfer. Octus Group, we're working together. They provide billing solution to our clients. And this Square Global Payment 360, it's a payment providers integrated with us. And these are financial and Startax, the CEO of the company, he's probably might join us today. He went through Startax in Palo Alto, in Stanford. And then that's FCA, it's two funds who funded us, and they're in our board of directors. Problems which we're solving is that we integrated all software together, because what we see that a lot of doctors using several up to 6 or even more software to do scheduling, to do prescription, to do charting, to do billing and other stuff. And we combine all this stuff together to save time and have them spend more time taking care of patients. These are microservice architecture in our platform, and these are 6 main modules which we have. It's practice management, electronic health reference, RCM, also patient engagement, analytics, and marketing. How Remedly makes doctor life easier? It's a kind of natural questions. First of all, it's a cloud-based application, so there is no any installation, anything. It's a one software which can take care of pretty much all doctors' needs. It's, let's say, one vendor. It's easy to talk with one vendor than to several. We also automate repetitive tasks and do some other clinical decision and some other help for the customers. This is example how our UI look like. I go quickly because I don't want to run out of time. It's a practice management, electronic health records, it's RCM, and this is analytics, and we use Microsoft Power BI for that. Why kind of go and enter the market now, even we're in the market for quite some time? Still on the market, it's desktop applications and web solutions. There are new standards called FHIR, FHIR, and our software built on that. And also we're planning to achieve certification with CERT in next year, 2023. This is our competition. Briefly, I put here. The biggest advantage of Remedly has its customization, because we do not have code charting UI. It's built on the different templates, and our platform reads that configuration files and display UI on the fly, including data support and everything. So it's much easier and quickly to do customization between medical verticals or even inside vertical for each physician. This is our addressable market, because we are web, we can address and our clients not regional, it's all over United States, and we have customers in Canada. It's some numbers for plastic surgeons, number plastic surgeon mental health, and RCM, which we released. And when we get CERT, we will be addressing much bigger market. This is our revenue model. We have several sources of kind of income. It's a SaaS subscription basis. We have a rev share for credit card processing, and also about the revenue cycle management. We either charge or per using our software, or get percentage of the money processed. This is our financials. It's a lot of numbers. Fortunately, I don't have time to go, and if I have questions, I will bring that slide before. Again. And we are planning with this round of finance to reach a break-even point in the 2023. This is our team. It's founder Victor Gain, it's myself and several people in our team, and there is a number of engineers. This is our board of directors. 2 people are from financial institution who financed us. It's a board of advisors with the great doctors who spend time and work closely with us to define features which they're using mostly of the software to make it better. This is the venture round. We are raising 750K, and we think that we calculated that would be enough for us to reach break-even point next year. We inform a safe note. It's not, oops, 7 minutes. So I'm finishing safe notes, but if there are some, we can also use convertible notes, or if there is a significant amount of somebody want to contribute, we can discuss that. 7.5 million valuation cap, we think it's a discount with our 1.1 revenue and company growing. We'd like to kind of raise money fast. That's why we put a discount with 7.5 million there. 250, it's already committed, and use of proceeds will be used to finish our remaining ERP module, get certification, grow TAM to 10 billions. There are examples of successful companies, WebPT and CPSI, who I use as an example. And last piece, it's about exit. There are two types of companies who are interested in acquiring company like Remedly. First, it's our competitors who has desktop old outdated kind of applications, and they either need to build web new modern applications themselves or acquire somebody like us and capitalize on the platform we have. And another type, it's just financial hedge fund or equity funds who would like to see our growth, invest more money, sales, marketing, development, grow company, and then resell it and so on. And we had several conversations with both type of acquirers already, but we didn't go with them because numbers were not, or conditions were not favorable. And we think after finishing what we plan to do, we can negotiate with them better. And that is pretty much our contact information. It's CEO Victor Gain and myself, and that's the end of my presentation. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thanks so much, Alexander, for the great presentation.
I think I'm almost in time.
Yeah, we can say that. Sure. Okay then. Newsy, do you have any question? Would you like to make a comment and start?
It's muted, I believe.
Okay, now again you can.
Okay. Like locked. Thank you for the presentation. This is really great. I have questions about your pricing strategy. If you go back to that slide, it looked like the
Which one?
Back this one.
Okay.
So the revenue cycle management is separate. Do you charge each kind of portion separately, or are they bundled together?
It's first of all, we have several EHR. There are add-ons. So people who needs eLabs usage integration, it's additional charge. People who want ARX, it's additional charge, and some other effects, it's additional charge. So some of them bundle together. For some we give discount based on the definitely size of the company. Revenue cycle management, it's a separate module, even EHR and RCM integrated. So as soon as you finish charting your encounter, you can click the button and set create a claim, and automatically all data move to RCM and claim is created. CMS 1500 forms is there. You can edit either form itself or create the form. So that's all integrated. You don't need any manual entry. For revenue cycle management, there are two ways we charge money. If people wants to have a self-service and they have their own billers, we give them, it's like subscription basics, let's say $200 a month for using our software plus 50 cents per claim. if they would like us together, we don't do billing ourselves, but we use several partners who provide billing. They use our software. They charge between like 3 and 6% for all money processed through claims, and we have a rev share from them. This is how our model works.
Okay, so what percentage of clinics do a bundle versus just use it for RCM?
Currently, our market is med spas, plastic surgeons. They charge insurance, but not like heavily. And that's why we're moving to more, I would say, traditional medical thing, which provide not like nice to have stuff, but primary care physician. And first platform we introduced, we released it for mental health. And mental health people charge insurance. So percentage wise, I would say more and more people people who really need insurance, of course, use our RCM because they don't want to go and use anything else. Also, we have several companies, one like Safe and Home, they provide, they take care of patients at home and they use just our RCM. So we did integration with them through Zoho RCM. They put the electronic data there, we grab it from there and create claims and process. In this case, they don't have any EHR. And we are now negotiating with similar companies like that who provide different care either at home or in offices, and they need just the RCM solution. I hope I answered the question.
It gave me context. Thank you so much.
Alex, I had a question concerning the patients, the security and the level of integration of patients into the system.
Yes, of course.
That one?
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So of course we're HIPAA compliant, and also we have two European customers. I forgot its abbreviation. It's European, similar to HIPAA. I forgot what's called, but to protecting data. And with the patient information, first of all, our architecture done the way that we use separate database per clinic, so we don't mix patients. So it's impossible for physicians from one clinic see patients from another clinic. Also, we have a patient portal, and if physicians needs to send any like sensitive data to patients, they don't like email any medical results or anything. Patients receive a message like, you have a new information in your patient portal, please log in and see it's there. So that's why in our software we do not kind of send openly any medical information. Is that, did I answer the question?
Thank you.
And again, so far in 5 years we're in business, we did not have any HIPAA violation whatsoever, fortunately. So we're fine. And also, if you're talking about, it's more technical, all vulnerability scan, penetration tests, that we run all of them, and we had third-party companies who did that. We passed everything, and we are pretty secure. And also we host in Microsoft Azure, which also HIPAA compliant and pass all inspections. They have all certificates, so it's all there. So we do not store or keep any data outside our servers in Microsoft data centers.
Alex, thanks very much for the presentation. This is Javi from Sofinova. I'd love to understand a little bit more about kind of the sales cycle and how quickly you could convince these physicians to join the platform. Is it hard? And also maybe what does customer success look like after they've joined? So you have to kind of spend a lot of time with them, onboarding and training them, or is it pretty?
Yes, great question. So The fastest stuff, I believe it happened last month. It was in one day. But usually, I mean, depends. If it's a small clinic and you're talking with decision maker and somehow they decide to do it, it takes one demo and people are signing. Some cycles are people are planning to sign next quarter, next month, next whatever. It's very difficult to say. In average, I would say it's probably 2-3 demos, and then people are signing. And because we mostly working with inbound requests, we kind of start now doing outbound, because inbound meaning that people are looking and they're coming to us, not way around. That's why it's much higher conversion rate. Of course, there are competition. It's not they're looking only at us, but about the onboarding. We can do onboard very fast. The thing which is holding sometimes, it's a data transfer. So they use some kind of software before us. And of course, they want to come to us having all data ported to our software. And the problem is not importing data in our software. The problem in most times it's how to export them in whatever solution they're using, because we don't have access to their kind of database. So they need to work with their vendor and export data. And that's why in one of our partners is a company called LK. They're specifically specializing in exporting data from all kind of EHRs and RCM solutions, and they transform it in the form which we can import, and then we don't have any problems doing that. So average onboarding, it's probably in the matter of days without data transfer, and data transfer, it's vary. Again, it's not under our control, but usually taken care of in a month time frame.
Thank you very much, Alex.
Yeah, we have here. We actually only 1 minute left. So Ada, do you have any comments?
Yeah, sure. I just have feedback for the pitch deck in general. I don't have any questions on the product necessarily, but I think just emphasizing traction more on an individual slide instead of the third slide of the company overview. Just putting into numbers of just how many users there are, how traction has developed over time, and just putting more emphasis on that, because there is no slide necessarily there. And in terms of the competition slide, making it a little bit more concise and easy to read is another form of feedback I'd like to kind of give you guys as well. Making it a little bit more visual, just because the chart isn't necessarily very clear. But I think that's about it from me. I appreciate the UI presentation.
Just a quick answer: we have 138 clients, and this year we closed already 35 added. So till the end of the year, it would be probably another between 5 and 10. But thank you for the input.
Yeah, just real quick, what's the biggest clinic size?
Biggest clinic size, it's between number of physicians. I believe it's somewhere between 5 and 10 providers, I would say, not physicians. So we do not have, fortunately, we do not have any clinic which like half of our revenue. Absolutely not. The maximum is probably about maybe 5%, or no, not more than 10% for sure of our revenue.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Alex, for the great presentation, and thank you all the advisors for the their comments and questions.
Okay.
And now we can move to our second page. Second page will be done by Jordan. Jordan is the CEO and the founder of TESSAN. Jordan, feel free to share your screen and start a presentation after presenting yourself.
Sure. Hello to all, and thanks Batuan for organizing this. So I'm the founder of TESSAN. My background is I've done finance. Then I worked with my big family group company, but like old industry, so I was easily bored. Then I launched my startup 7 years ago. We started with Pharma Express, and we changed the business model because we started home drug delivery service in France. Like Deliveroo or Uber Eats, but for pharmaceutical drugs. And we really pivoted, we changed completely the business, and we launched TESSAN 3 years and a half ago. So now I will share my screen and present to you my company. So can you see now?
Yes.
Perfect. So what we provide with TESSAN is that we develop telemedicine cabins. So it's soundproof cabins with inside 7 medical devices, all connected, from the blood pressure monitor, thermometer. We can treat up to 90% of a GP act at distance with the 7 medical devices. And we install them, firstly, we install them into pharmacies. So the business segment is that actually we've seen that pharmacies were closing, or there were problematics with pharmacy about their turnover or about a big competition. And we came about the idea of these cabins into pharmacies because in France we have what is called medical deserts, so areas where they have no accessibility to doctors. And we have another problematic in these areas is that people they go to emergency and there's like big jam of people going into emergency for sometimes just a quick thing that can be done with telemedicine. And another thing that we solution we provide with our augmented telemedicine is that with a video teleconsultation, we can go up to 40% of a GP acted distance. With what we do, we can go up to 90%, and we can go even further with specialist doctors. So this is about the market in France from what we've done. This is on the left, you can see that the number of areas where we are in medical desert. That's what we call here in France. So it's the density where you don't have enough doctors for patients. There's more than 12% that live into difficult access to healthcare. And in France, we have even 10% of the patients, they don't have any doctor they can go directly to. In pharmacy, we have a market of potentially of 21,000 pharmacies, but we also sell our product to municipalities and to supermarkets. So the business concept is that we create on the right down, you can see the 3 products that we create and we developed. The first one is a teleconsultation kiosk. So it's a mobile kiosk with the 7 medical devices and the same accessibility within 15 minutes to a GP. And we also have accessibility to specialist doctors on demand. So we have like ophthalmologists, obstetricians, we have different dermatologists, we have different specialist doctors on demand every week on the technology. In the middle, you can see that we have the teleconsultation cabin. So the difference between the kiosk and the cabin is that the cabin, you can put them into a commercial area. It's soundproof. You have the confidentiality of any medical information you can talk about with your doctor. And the kiosk, you have to put them into an enclosed area. So you have to put them in the back room or something like that. And on the left side, you have the teleophthalmology table. So it's our new innovation. So we have connected all the medical devices of the ophthalmologists. So we have a auto kerato tonopathy meter, and we have a retinograph, and they're all connected to an ophthalmologist. So we can put them into opticians or little centers, and you don't have to have a nurse or an orthoptist nearby to treat and to activate the devices, because everything is activable at distance by ophthalmologist and orthoptist. So the patient is 100% autonomous. The business model is B2B2C. So in B2B, what we do is we do a leasing. So it's like a renting for 5 years, 60 months for each product. The kiosk is 200 euros per month for 60 months. The cabin is 500 euros per month for 60 months. And the teleophthalmology table is 2,000 euros per month for 60 months. So for example, if you go see a pharmacist, the pharmacist will accept and buy and take the cabin. He will pay 500 euros per month through the leaser, the bank, and the bank will give us straight away the 30,000. So the 500 euros multiplied 60 months minus the interest rate straight away at the delivery of the devices. That's how we have done 4.5 million euros turnover last year. This year we go around 15 million turnover, so we multiply by 3, and we are self-funded for now, thanks to this B2B business model. This year we go up to 100 consultations, so we double from the last year a number of consultations, and we have already 450 devices installed in France, and we have more than 100 that still has to be installed in the next months. The B2B2C is explained, as I said, in the B2B, and in the B2C, what we do is that we have our own health centers, and we have 71 doctors employed straight away from our health centers, and we gain a margin is from 7 up to 10 euros per consultation margin. So it's what we call inside like a recurring revenue, because we do approximately we have done like last month like 16,000 consultation, and we have gained around 150 200,000 margin from this teleconsultation, and every month it's going upward, as you can see on the graphic down on the left side. About the competition, so I really like to focus on what we do. What we do is called augmented telemedicine. We do telemedicine with devices, with physical products. In France, we have 2 competitors. One is H4D, one is Medadom. Comparing to H4D was in the business for the last 15 years. So he was a real visionary. The guy that invented this, he was a doctor, he's a doctor. But the thing is that he created a big cabin, very expensive, it's not soundproof, there's not a real accessibility to GP. So for now, for the last 15 years, I think he sold 60 devices, but they don't work as well as a real accessibility to GP. So we don't even see them as competition because they're not into pharmacies, they're not into supermarket, and they don't have the accessibility of 15 minutes. But we have Medadom, that is a strong partner that has fundraised money like 40 million euros from G Square Capital, that you must know, nice fund. And what they do is that they do like us, so they copy a bit our strategy and our product, and they do low cost, which is a good strategy for them. But the thing is that we buy out now 20 up to 30 products of Medadom, because they have done too low cost, and some of you are really specialized into healthcare, and healthcare is a specific startup business, a specific startup market, and you can't do low cost in terms of accessibility, in terms of service. It's a very specific market, and I've seen it from my last 7 years into this market. So what we do is really, we do like a high-end tele-augmented solution service with 7 medical devices. We'll add 3 more medical devices, and we are the only one right now to add this ophthalmology table. And we will continue, and that's why we want to fundraise, to do R&D and to keep getting more devices and more new product to go to new markets. This is the goal and the objective. What you can see on the picture is our project called Point of Care. What we want to do is we want to create teleconsultations centers. We will put telemedicine cabins, we will put teleophthalmology table. We are now connecting new devices. In the 12 or up to the next 18 months, we'll do telebiology, teleradiology, we'll add ECG and a glucometer. With all these devices all connected, we can put these centers, so the point of care, anywhere in France. Even if they are like small villages, we can put this point of care and we can bring accessibility to healthcare, generalists, specialists, prevention, and also the follow-up of the consultation. So the objective is to launch also this point of care with this fundraising. I think I'm out of time now, Batman.
Yeah. Actually, I was going to.
Sorry, I was trying to be quick.
Yeah,
I've seen you, so no worries.
Yeah, if you have final words, then we can kind of wrap up here.
Thank you, TESSAN, for this nice presentation. It's quite an evolution. I agree with the market here in France, given the aging population and the rural areas that have no access to this kind of services. I guess that when you consider the self-serving patient, it's a patient who has a carte vitale.
Yeah, about this, what we do is reimburse teleconsultation in France. So we follow up the regulation about teleconsultation. the patient puts this card vital, so it's the card of the social security here in France, and he just has to swipe it, and he doesn't even have to pay upfront. We get straight reimbursement of the social security here in France.
And a person who doesn't have a carte vitale, but a private insurer?
So he can pay, and we can make him the invoice, and he can send this to the private insurer and get reimbursement of the teleconsultation.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Dominic. Ada, do you have any question?
Yes, I was just curious about kind of the serviceable market that you were trying to obtain by kind of a certain objective year. That wasn't necessarily addressed. It was maybe the amount of volume you want to go for, but I think adding that into just the goals slide would also be very favorable. I'm not sure if you ever got to the ask as well as just the funding ask. You might have been cut off a little bit early. It might have been near the end, but that would have been also useful to touch on. And just some feedback for the slide as well. You introduced the product and solution before really addressing the problem itself. I think just for the flow and momentum of the pitch itself, it would have been good to understand. And you might have put a little bit too much emphasis on competition, and it was a little scattered everywhere. I have two different decks. I have one of your decks, and this one was different from the one I was provided. But your competition slide on this one's very good.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, about the demand. So what we're looking for is now 10 million in equity. I will add up 10 million in debt also, so it's up to 20 million. We already starting because we already have a commitment of 3 million, so we have like a bridge, so as we can say. So we're starting about this. The use of this funds will be mainly structuring the people here in France, maybe double the sales, and if we double the sales, then we have to double over teams, like operations, CSM, customer success, like all this to follow up and have this high quality. And another big breaks will also be the R&D, as I said, because we want to do this teleradiology, we want to do this telebiology, and we want to start to launch our first point of care here in France, and then also explore a bit internationally, because we have a lot of potential partners or clients that already contacted us. But as you know, we need cash. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nilsi, do we have further question? Sorry.
Yeah, I just had one more thing. Are there any other obstacles in terms of government regulation that you are going to face soon, or that should be addressed into this slide?
So in France, no, it's the opposite actually. Now they're like really pushing about teleconsultation cabins. The health minister has done a paper 6 months he became minister about we should put telemedicine cabins everywhere. So we are quite good about this here in France. Abroad, there are also lots of regulations that are stated. But for example, there were people talking to us in Brazil, for example, and like 4 months ago, they're like, it's forbidden to put telemedicine cabins into pharmacy, for example. So it can be a risk. It can happen when they are like nothing. It can be both ways. But as I said, in France, it's the opposite. Now they are like fundings. Governments have fundings from municipalities to get telemedicine cabins. So it's going our way in France for sure, and in other countries in Europe too. For now.
Thank you.
Sure.
From my side, firstly, thanks for the presentation. Did I understand correctly that you bootstrapped the company to 15 million top line in 2022?
15, huh?
15 million.
Yeah.
I think that's super impressive. Well done.
Okay, thanks.
We'd love to maybe understand, there seems to be a big kind of trajectory change, 2020, like late 2021 to 2022. You go from like 2 to 4 to 10. What's driving that, and is that going to continue moving forward, right? So what happens now?
Yeah, the thing is that it's a good thing. I think we're still actually at the beginning of this market and beginning of the growth. So I'm very happy about this. When we started, we were also more expensive with the cabins because we have like early adopters buy the cabins. The cabins were sold like 75,000 euros, 1,500 euros per month. And the pharmacy were paying it, but there were not a lot of volumes. Now we have a lot of leads, we have a lot of groups, we have a lot of people getting there, and also thanks to the market and the competitors, so thanks to them too to open the market with us. But I think that we're still in the beginning of this market, because right now I think there may be like 3,000 pharmacies that are installed. In 3 years, I think 90% of the pharmacy will be installed with cabins, kiosks, or little mallets. For sure, they will go for that. They go for that. And as I said, there are also new markets that we explored recently, like municipalities, and the new device with the teleophthalmology table. We are also in hypergrowth. So I think, yeah, we had to have time. COVID also helped to evangelize about what is telemedicine, why you need telemedicine, why doctors also they use telemedicine. When we saw our first cabin, there were a doctor going into a pharmacy. He wanted to break the cabin. You know, he was really angry about it. Now, when we install the cabin, the doctors, when he's not available or when he doesn't contact the patient, he sends it directly to the pharmacy and to the cabin. So all these things change a lot now. So I think we're still in the beginning of the growth. And to be transparent, the last 3 months we've done even better than my business plan. And as you know, it's very rare to do better than business plans. So it's the first time of my life, for all the business plans I've done in my last 7 years, that we've done that. So, and that is thanks to the market that is responding even better than what we were expecting.
Very cool. Thanks. Congrats again. I think it's really cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jordan. That was a really great presentation. I have a couple of questions. How much is the cost of those devices to build?
Yeah, sure. So the kiosk, we built it for 7K, the cabin 12K, and the teleophthalmic table is around 75, 80K. So we do approximately 40 up to 60% margin when we sell them. So you have the price. But the thing is that we don't have enough volume to reduce the price. But with the fundraising, also what we want to do is that we create 100 cabins. And I think the price of the cabin can be like 30 up to 40% cheaper.
Okay. And then when thinking about those clinics, do you guys have your own clinicians or, yeah, okay. Yeah,
I was quickly on this, but yeah, actually we have our own health centers. We have 71 doctors hired that we pay their salaries. And we get the reimbursement is like 30 up to 35 euros per consultation. And that's how also we get a recurring revenue. It's like a recurring revenue every month on the teleconsultations. Gotcha. And then so you mentioned a little bit expanding internationally. What does that timeline look like? And what are some of the first countries? For sure. The thing is that we started self-funded also to go into the UK, and we've done like 3 sales in a few weeks, but I've seen it was too costly to go into one country. And then we are self-funded, so we don't even have like 1 million to put now and then develop or 2 million. So we stopped to go into the UK, but we have everything good, the tech, the partners, already clients, already the doctors, everything. We were just lacking cash. And also I want to wait with who I partner and associate in the fundraising, how much we fundraise, and then choose together about the strategy. Because we were talking with people that we have synergies. Some of them have synergies. Some were not into UK. So I was like, okay, what's the point of going in the UK if they put like 20 million and then they are not in the UK? So we wait, but I think we stay in Europe. But there's a huge potential in UK, Germany, Italy, and Spain to start. Great, thank you. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jordan, for the great pitch, and thank you for the comments and question advisor panel. I think now we can. Thank you. Thanks so much, Jordan. Now we can move to our next page. Is Implandata Ophthalmic Products. Max will be presenting it. He will share his screen. Max, feel free to start your presentation.
All right, you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Yes, my name is Max Ostermeier. I'm the CEO and founder of Implandata. And we will improve the life of millions of glaucoma patients by introducing our breakthrough augmented system, allowing virtual care of glaucoma patients. So glaucoma, as you may know, is an age-related eye disease where increased eye pressure is causing damage to the optic nerve, which over time leads to loss of eyesight and eventually blindness if the disease is not well controlled. As I said, it's age-related, it's incurable, and due to aging populations all over the world, the number of patients will grow significantly in the coming decades. There is a wealth of treatment options to lower and control eye pressure. but despite said options, there are still many patients losing eyesight and going blind. And this is because today there are several challenges in treating glaucoma patients. Most importantly, disease management is office-based only. And as we all know, the number of patients is growing, but the number of eye doctors is not growing at the same speed. So already now we have a lack of eye doctors taking care of the patients. So in this office-based management, typically intraocular pressure measurement and therapy effectiveness is controlled only a few times a year. But in between office visits, there is no information at all to the eye doctors if the therapy is really effective for a patient. Another huge problem is that right now there is no way for disease self-monitoring by patients. Eye pressure is an asymptomatic thing, so patients really don't feel that the pressure is too high. And so that lack of disease self-monitoring also results in low therapy adherence, which is true for many chronic diseases. So in order to change this, we have established the IMID system, which consists of a tiny implantable microsensor, which is powered from the outside by an RFID variable for continual measurement of intraocular pressure and therapy effectiveness under normal life conditions. This data is sent into a web-based database where all the patient data is collected and then presented to the eye doctor, enabling the eye doctor to remotely monitor their patients. Oops, sorry for that. To remotely monitor the patients, to also do patient triaging, so get patients earlier into the office when necessary, and also to provide telecounseling to patients. The other thing is that we collect a lot of data, and with an AI system, we improve the decision-making for more effective therapies. And as pointed out, an important factor is patient empowerment by self-monitoring. And we can see that patients with our systems do show improved therapy adherence, which is an important factor to a better outcome. So our system is really ensuring more effective treatments in a more timely fashion, and also allowing more efficient care by remote disease and patient monitoring and management. Very quick on the implant, because this is an important point. This is a very small microsensor able to really measure eye pressure at the patient under normal life conditions. So it's right now placed either in an insertion position. In the next step, it will be an injectable version. But most importantly, it's all safe material. And patients really don't feel the sensor at all. It does not compromise the patient's well-being. And it's a technology which is extensively validated in numerous clinical studies. And we have a steep pipeline, but in essence of time, I want to address the market opportunity. And here we are only looking at the US right now, because US, of course, is for us a very important market. So the service obtainable market only for US is around $0.5 billion US. And if you look at the global market opportunities, that's approximately 4 to 5 times as high. We are able to generate 2 revenue streams. There will be one-time revenues, not only to us, but also to the ophthalmologists and the surgeons for placing the sensors. But there will be, most importantly, also recurring revenues for the eye doctors as well as for us as a company. So in the US, there are already CPT codes in place for remote patient monitoring. So an eye doctor can bill up to $200 US a month per patient, just providing the services. And then we will invoice to the eye center around $35 to $40 US per patient per month. So here on the right, you can see the total lifetime value if you assume a duration of 10 years. Typically, we see more, but that's to be conservative. So the product is CE-marked under the new regulation. So we are right now preparing a first launch in Europe. We also have obtained FDA breakthrough device designation, ensuring an expedited approval process also in the US. Still, we have to do a clinical study in order to obtain that PMA approval. And that's also why we are right now out for fundraising. I think also here, very brief, company has raised so far 20 million, and we have really accomplished very important and critical milestones and are well set now for the next steps in our company development. Here's the financial projections. As I said, in 2023 and 2024, we will do first revenues in Europe. 2025, we expect also some further revenues in expanding into Asian markets. And in 2026, we expect first revenues in the US. Briefly on the management, beside myself, Stefan and I are working together for 20 years. We have done already 2 exits in medical device space. Dr. Mansouri is a leading glaucoma expert and is our chief medical officer. And we have also a very seasoned board of directors with people out of the industry, with the leading person in glaucoma worldwide, Dr. Weinrib, people from private equity, and Klaus and Ulrike are representing some of our early stage investors. As pointed out, we are right now in a fundraise. We want to raise 25 million in order to get FDA approval, to do that soft launch in Europe, to do also some phase 4 studies to show evidence of our product, and to also realize our next generation products to further expand addressable markets. The goal is clearly to position the company for a trade sale in ophthalmology. Large companies like AIHCON, like J&J, like Glaukos, Allergan AbbVie are aggressively buying new companies, new technologies, early stage companies, sometimes even pre-revenue, pre-FDA approval. Because I said, it's a growing opportunity, and if there's a disruptive solution kind of really transforming management of patients with eye diseases, these guys are all in for it. And we think that this acquisition will happen in the next 3 to 4 years, especially once we are close to FDA approval or once we have obtained FDA approval. So in summary, we have very strong IP. We have more than 15 patents covering our invention. We are a first market mover. There are several competitors, but we are first to market. Our closest competitor is maybe 3 to 4 years behind us. A very experienced team. Also, these new payer models for virtual care are very helpful in supporting our case. And as pointed out, we have a broad or deep product pipeline to further expand the addressable market. So in the next step, we will also combine our diagnostic device with a drug-eluting system. So by that, we will be able to even further expand the market potential for our products. And as I said, we are raising right now. So we are current investors or existing investors who participate in this round. We have already 1 new investor on the table, but we are still looking for around 10 to 15 to really get this fundraising closed and get going. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Max, for the great presentation. Javier, would you like to start?
Sure. Hi, Max. Nice to see you again. I think we saw each other at Frontiers recently.
Yeah, right.
So thanks for the good presentation. I guess we would love to understand, I know you talked a little bit about sort of exit, and maybe in terms of scale of that exit and kind of what that could look like for a returns perspective, given this round and maybe next round. Not next round, this round to the exit.
You know, in the last years, there have been acquisitions in this field in glaucoma devices, which were somewhere around $500 million to even more. You know, AIHCON just acquired a company called Infocus last year for 485 million. Allergan AbbVie acquired or made a deal with a Belgian company, iStar, which has a total value of around $500 million. So there are several acquisitions have been done in the last 5 years in this field, you know, where companies have been really acquired even pre-revenue. And that kind of shows the appetite of these kind of strategic players to enter into new areas and really pay high premiums. And we believe that we will be somewhere in the same range, especially due to the disruptive nature of our business.
Thank you very much, Max. Really helpful.
Right.
Thank you, Max. Yeah. I have a question. I'm not a specialist in eyes, so upfront, I know that from an IP point of view, this field is highly actual, so to speak. But what is the real differentiator on your technology compared to others?
I think, if you look at the competition, and you don't know the slide, we have a lot of patents really covering the design of our implants or of our technology, but we have also several method patents. But most importantly, we have a lot of trade secrets in respect of implantable MEMS systems, also in respect of implantable RFID-powered systems, biosensors, and wearables. And I think that's really what really makes us different, that we have a strong expertise in this area. If you look at the competitive landscape, there are several, I would see, similar approaches. But first of all, they are all very early, not validated yet. There are contact lens sensors, but so far nobody has been able to really show that this is working at a patient. There have been also optical sensors, and there are still optical sensors also here, very early, no validation at all. And there's also implantable pressure sensors like ours. Again, same concept as ours. Some of them are also infringing some of our patents because we started earlier, but they are still years away because we are talking about a class 3 product. So it means you have to run all the clinical, preclinical testing, and that just takes time. So I think that the most differentiating factor is that we are way ahead of the crowd, that we have deep knowledge and expertise in this space, that we have very strong patent covering our technology, and that we have clinical data. I think that's a huge benefit because nobody else in that space, beside of that kind of established in-office tonometric devices, has that kind of amount of data which we own.
Thank you. And what's the customer acceptance?
Actually, the most amazing thing to me is how well it's adopted by the patients. And it makes sense, because patients have a disease by which they can lose eyesight, lose quality of life. And right now there is not so much they can do. There's a high degree of uncertainty at the moment with patients because they are asked to take the eye drops to lower eye pressure, but there is no feedback channel at all. And so we really empower patients, give them peace of mind. So they know, okay, my glaucoma is under control. And if not, I can do something. I can be active. I can go and see the eye doctor. So that patient empowerment is so crucial. And same is true for the eye doctors, because right now, eye doctors only have a few data points during the year, taken only in the office, and in between office visits, they don't have a clue what's going on with the patient. So also eye doctors are now, they have objectified data and information by which they can apply more personalized medicine and a more effective therapy to the patient. So for the eye doctors, it's really also a game changer, because now instead of only having seeing the patient every few months, they have now immediate information if something goes wrong with a patient, and they can interfere and apply more effective therapies early on. All right.
Yeah.
Max,
thank you, Dominic. Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks for the presentation. Same thing. I just kind of was curious about like patients, thoughts on doing something like this. But Dominic, you asked that question. That was great. I'm curious, have you done more studies in terms of like thinking about if they have this implant, the compliance to the eye drops, increasing based on not having it, versus not having it?
A very good question. So far the endpoints of our clinical studies have always been show that it's safe and it's performing. So we haven't done any efficacy studies, so to say. We have anecdotal data which clearly demonstrates this, but in the next step, that phase 4 study would be really a prospective study demonstrating that by self-monitoring, patient adherence is improving. And there is studies in other areas, demonstrating that self-monitoring is improving adherence in other diseases, other chronic diseases. So why should it be different for us? But as I said, we want to do that prospective study, and we all want to also do a prospective study showing that with this information data provided to the eye doctor, that the disease is better under control, and the endpoint would be better control eye pressure, less RNFL thinning, retinal nerve fiber layer thinning at patients in a IMED arm versus a standard of care arm. But that's about when I talked about that phase 4 studies, that would be the subject of that study.
Yeah, because behavior change is hard. Even when they're getting the data back to them.
Yeah.
But getting the data back to them, or like understanding, what is happening is
Right.
a key part of that behavior change. In terms of like how that is reflected back to the patient, what is that like? Like, is it going, to the clinician, then to the patient? How are you thinking about that?
Patients can see it right away. They have that variable and it's displayed there right away. And they have also a patient smartphone app and they can see it right away.
Yeah.
And for them, it's really all about pressure. Like for blood pressure patient understands, 120, 130 is fine, but 180 is certainly bad. And the same is true for glaucoma patients. They know 15 is good, but anything beyond 20 is really bad to me. So they want to know that, but the eye doctor has the ability to really blacken this display to certain patients, because some patients might get really hyper nervous about it,
Yeah.
And so it's really about the eye doctor is a final decision maker if the patient is allowed to see it. But as I said, patients really demand it. They want to know what's going on.
Yeah.
But
that's the key part.
But as I said, the eye doctor will be always in the driver's seat. So he decides, what data, what information can be seen by the patient. And in our experience, patients, and of course, these are early adopting patients, they act very responsible. So they don't give the eye doctor a call at 2 a.m. Oh, my pressure is too high. So we haven't seen that. But if you have a large number of patients, that might happen. Then the eye doctor can decide, okay, this patient can only see the values maybe from 8 to 6 p.m. So
yeah. I mean, I think the UX of that part of it is going to be super key.
Yeah.
And exploring whether they see their exact numbers or they just see like it's low, medium, or high.
Yeah.
And to take 1 drop now, take 2 drops later, or whatever it is.
That's also what we exactly. That's also what we consider in the long run, because as I said, right now we're talking about early adopting patients. So these are kind of elite patients, well educated. Yes. But I think down the road, that will be not all patients. And for these patients, you want to simplify it. But simplifying is always easier than the other way around.
Yeah. Great. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Nuzi. Ada, do you have any comment? Do you want to add something?
Everything was fairly concise. Very great presentation from your end, Max. Very concise.
Thank you.
I think most of the questions were answered by the 3 other advisors, but I'm just curious on clinic feedback, especially in this Europe pilot that you are planning for with this raise. Have you began discussions already? What does that look like for you right now?
So actually, I said we have already FDA breakthrough device designation. So we are already in close conversations or contact with the FDA. I just came back from a 10-day trip in the US. I've been also in Los Angeles, by the way. So talking to our investigators in the US. So we are right now preparing, really our ID study. We have a CRO on board. So it's just about get the money so that we can pull the trigger for conducting this study. And same is true for Europe. We have early adopting eye centers. Our customers are really the eye centers, the ophthalmologists, and not the patients. So the eye doctors will prescribe our system to their patients. And we have lined up also early adopting eye centers with key opinion leaders in this field. For the first 2 years will be really market shaping to really prepare the market for our solution before we do a broader launch in around 18 to 24 months from now.
And in terms of just the market opportunity, was the TAM only the US? You said you referred to only the US.
Exactly. That was only the US, right?
Okay, gotcha.
For us, US is certainly the most important market to get started with, because Europe has a very diverse reimbursement or market access situation, and I think we will do early market validation in Europe, but I think we will be bought because of the US potential. I think, companies like AIHCON, J&J, it's the most important market, and that's why they buy companies.
I see. So you just do that for the purpose of just US acquisition mainly, just to broadly address that?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
We have a clear strategy, and it's very common in ophthalmology, being acquired by one of the large guys, having the horsepower and the resources to really get it globally into the market. But as I said, also for these companies, US market is the most important market.
All right, great. All right, that's it from me. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Great. Thank you, Max. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Now we can go for our fourth presentation. The company is Aeris Biotechnologies. Presentation will be done by David Harper, chairman of the company, and their US CEO Aaron is with us as well. David, feel free to share your screen and start the presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here.
Okay, I am the chairman of Aeris Biotech. I'm also the inventor of the basic technology, as I will come to later. But let me start you off with this.
Dust mites infest our homes. There are millions in your mattress, with millions more throughout the house, and we just can't get rid of them. But now there's a new approach: biological control. Using agents that spread from local applications to treat the whole house, targeting and destroying dust mites wherever they are hiding, hitting them before they produce the powerful allergens that are linked to asthma, congestion, skin rashes, and other allergies, meaning less exposure for you. Aeris, treating the source, not the symptoms.
And that sort of sums up our approach. They are a key cause, and we're doing something about them. So, these are the disclaimers for our current Regulation A and the usual forward-looking statements. I'm not going to take the time to read them through, but they are in the presentation. So, our investment summary. We have a groundbreaking, unique approach to asthma and allergy control based on a natural green technology, highly specific, targeting a major source of asthma and multiple allergies, protected by awarded patents in key markets, including the USA, UK, EU, and others around the world. The technology valuation from published industry comparators is in excess of $200 million, and that is planned for 2024. Potential sales in patent markets alone exceed $2.5 billion per annum, and future markets increase potential sales to above $5 billion per annum. The problem is allergens produced by the house dust mite. They're in your home, they're in your bed, and you can't get rid of them. At 0.3 millimeters, they're so small that you can't really see them, but they are there. A typical mattress holds more than 2.5 million. A female mite lays up to 50 eggs in its 3-month lifespan. Each mite produces 20 droppings loaded with powerful allergens every day. These allergens are a key cause of asthma and the asthma attacks and multiple other allergies. Aeris has a patent-protected approach with a unique ability to control them. Allergens produced by dust mites are linked to asthma, airway inflammation, and itchy skin rashes. And we can't get rid of them. One child on the bed is lying on over 2 million dust mites in the bed. Asthma is a worldwide problem. It affects around 300 million people around the world. It's a chronic, lifelong disease. It kills more than 400,000 people every year. In the USA, someone has a potentially life-threatening asthma attack every 2 seconds. Costs exceed 100 billion a year just in Europe and the US, and a major scientific review bringing together over 50 different studies in 3,000 plus patients concluded, to quote, chemical and physical methods aimed at reducing exposure to house dust mite allergens cannot be recommended. These methods include chemicals, barriers, and filters. Using them in a concerted way to try to make them work, the family's costs can run into thousands of dollars a year. Billions of dollars are being spent, and it's not working. And yet asthma is only one of the problems. Congestion of the nose caused by allergy is actually an even bigger problem. It affects more than twice as many people. It's associated with even higher healthcare costs. It causes difficulty breathing, disrupts sleep, and is a cause of snoring. So it's not just disrupting sleep for the person affected. Dust mite allergens are also associated with itchy skin rashes. So what can we do? The Aeris answer is to treat the source, not just the symptoms. By preventing asthma before the patient is exposed to the allergens, the risk of drugs and the need for expensive clinical trials is avoided. This is an environmental bioprotectant We plan for it to be regulated by the EPA, not the FDA, because it's not administered to the patient. We've already had an initial very positive meeting with the EPA, and that will greatly reduce the costs and time required for development, while still leaving us with a market of a size compatible with therapeutic approaches. So that's a bit of a win-win situation for us. Biological control is highly specific and environmentally friendly, targeting dust mites and only dust mites. That's the nature of the agent. It's able to spread out from the initially treated area to treat the whole room with a few limited applications. How it's used in agriculture, and that includes inaccessible places like the dust under your floorboards. And it exerts control as long as its target is present. With a simple application to carpets and injections into furniture and bedding, and if they're not looking, your children's soft toys, where dust mites live, dust mites can be naturally controlled, and the infected dust mites become the vector that propagates the agent through the population. Aeris controls awarded patents until 2036, UK, USA, Europe, and around the world. These aren't patents on an agent, on a cocktail of agents. These are patents on the whole approach. Now, I'm the inventor, as I said, and the work carried on from 2016 to 2021 has now been licensed to Aeris exclusively, and there can be no competition until 2036 in patent protected markets. So competition, no. You could, of course, continue using the approaches that don't work, but if you want to use this, it's us. So our value proposition, a green technology protected by broad awarded patents in key markets. Sales potential in excess of 5 billion annually for multiple markets. Our current valuation is $17 million. We're looking to bring in $15 million, taking us to just above 30 million. We anticipate at that point being enabled to develop the technology through to commercialization by that funding, that we will match up the valuation to what the NPV gives us, which is $80 million plus at the end of this round. In 2024, we anticipate that we will have completed laboratory testing and be going for approval, and that will give us a valuation of hundreds of millions of dollars. And then potentially we could do a trade sale, or we go from there via a joint venture model to a market worth billions of dollars. We get 25% of the income through a JV. If we're selling billions, you can work out with standard PE ratios what the valuation of the company is likely to be. We're planning a public market listing on achievement of the near-term milestones. We're treating the source, not the symptoms. Thank you. That's the end of my presentation.
Thanks so much, David. So who would you like to start?
Thank
Dominique,
you for the presentation. I have a question and doubts about the basic assumptions in your technology evaluation. Sorry.
Sure.
So can you perhaps elaborate?
Elaborate on which aspect of it? We have done market projections based on a sale price undercutting existing treatments, $60 for a whole house with a 50% cost of goods. Using the number of asthmatics in the various countries, even before we figure in allergic rhinitis and congestion, just on asthmatics, that gives us a projected sales in a mature market of $4 billion plus. Adding allergic rhinitis takes it up to $5 billion plus. We believe that there is a real need for an approach because existing approaches are of very limited effect. And I am happy to share those market calculations with any potential investor. I think they're actually quite conservative.
But this is a type of self-medicine.
A type of what, sorry?
Self-medicine. Because you're in your pitch deck, you say this will be the home kit that you will keep in your house in case any allergies arise.
Yeah, well, you'll keep it in your house, and hopefully we will go with a subscription model, like Terminix.
We'll go through a subscription model, okay.
Like Terminix in the States, up to 4 kits a year. And because we anticipate a 3-month cycle for the dust mites to drop below the treatment level, we would anticipate people buying them up to 4 times a year. We anticipate severe asthmatics will buy 4, moderate asthmatics 2, and the worried well 1, but at a much lower rate.
Okay.
David, thanks so much for the presentation. I wondered, firstly, I think I'm terrified of my bed now as a starting point. But what do you think of I think it's super interesting that you're not a sort of pharmaceutical as such, but I guess the flip side to that challenge is that you'd have to convince people that, you know, this is the solution to their asthma, and they're used to a fairly medicalized approach to that. So how do you think about sort of driving adoption of the technology and sort of spreading the word about what you're building?
This isn't the solution to their asthma. This is a solution to their asthma, and we'll stop it before it gets to them. So hopefully moderate their symptoms. There are cutoff levels from the WHO for dust mite allergen to be safe in the domestic environment, and we're aiming for that. It will be one approach. We will drive adoption by partnering with companies with existing presence in the space. We've already had discussions with 2 multinationals, and those will be the ones who will market the product. But we will back that up with proven science and take that through to commercialization, working with our joint venture partners. There is potential for a lot of advertising. People are already spending billions on approaches that don't work, including bedding protectors, some very, very nasty chemicals. I've got a bottle of one of them, and it specifically states not to be used on bedding, which I find rather amusing. 0.1% cypermethrin, to be precise, or humidifiers and air filters that in a domestic environment simply don't protect. And I think if people are already spending billions on things that don't work, it should be a pretty easy sell to get them to spend on something which has scientifically proven, valid approach to controlling dust mite numbers. The working title for this approach is Dead Mites Don't Defecate.
Gotcha. Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Hey, David, thanks for presenting. Thanks for being here as well. I just had a couple criticisms in terms of the deck and just something that would be very keen, especially when going to investors from this point on. I think just addressing market validity and just kind of being more transparent with the product as well. Looking at the deck, I wasn't really able to understand the product necessarily until you had the video. So really emphasizing that in the beginning and just you addressed the problem, but the product and the solution just wasn't there. And I'm curious on just market validation as well. I think that should be addressed within the market or within the deck as well, just to get a better understanding of traction. I mean, have you gone through trials and pilots of testing this out? Those are some questions that I was curious to understand. And in terms of ask size for arrays as well, near the end of the presentation.
This is currently in the initial prototype stage. We want to spend a year developing the commercial prototype, a year testing that and getting it through regulation, and then commercializing. So this is, I've had people call me and say, can I buy the kit, please? And the answer is no, not yet. We've got to develop it, but that's where we are. And the market projections are based on getting to that stage.
Gotcha. And also to add on to that as well, just addressing the business model, and whether it be a subscription or some sort of B2B2C product as well. I think that's very key to add on to the deck as well. So investors are not lost and don't need to contact you again. But besides that, everything was addressed.
Yeah, absolutely. And the point is we are looking to a joint venture model with certainly one of the 2 companies we've already been talking to, potentially different companies in different patent protected areas. But that will use their established commercialization to take this to market.
Thank you.
Thanks, David. That was a great presentation. I also was getting a little freaked out. I think I have like allergies, and I sneeze a lot in my bedroom, and I vacuum and I wash my sheets, and it's a challenge. But like something that I think about as a consumer, I know you mentioned that it is environmentally safe, but like I would want to like know how safe is it? You know, what makes it safe? I think I would have loved to have seen that a little bit more in the deck. But yeah.
But what makes it safe is that biological control, by its very nature, is highly specific. It's already in use in the home. There's a product sold in the US using a fungus called Boveria bassiana to control bed bugs. There are products sold in the US using another fungus, Metarhizium anisopleae, to control cockroaches. So these approaches are already in use in the home, and the testing process will validate the safety. It's a very important point of what we do. Initially, non-host safety testing, bees, ladybugs, the kind of things you don't want to hurt. Going on from there, depending on the data we've got, we may need to do safety testing in small animals. I'm hoping not because of the ethical angle. And going on from that, we may need to do, although the opinion is thinking we probably won't if we have good data, testing in a field trial in the domestic environment. But we will do that as and when we have taken the product through the first safety testing. And safety will be a key element of what we do, but it is a natural feature of biological control compared to that bottle of 0.1 cypermethrin that I mentioned, which will kill the goldfish, stone dead. It's not meant to be used near pets. It's not meant to be used near people if you actually read the instructions. I think compared to that, we're going to be very much on the green side.
Thank you, David. Do you have any further comments from advisors or also audience? Please feel free to ask if you have any questions as well.
Well, the only thing I know is the Regulation A+ is active. Please go to the website at www.aerisbiotech.com if you're interested. Thank you.
David, I had one more to touch on, just the team behind Aeris and everything like that.
Well, our CEO is here today. He is Aaron Gunn. He's a serial entrepreneur based in Texas. I'm the inventor of the technology and developed it through to the licensing by Aeris. We also have our corporate legal counsel. We have a chief business officer who is an American based in the UK, Ed Capabianca, who has a lot of experience taking companies to the public markets. We have a chief technology officer who designed the video that you saw, Matthew Brown, and we have a few other people involved as well. But we think we've got a balanced team with great capability. We have a number of scientists waiting to join as soon as funds are available. I've mentioned in particular Mohammed Amin, who's an Egyptian, who will be very important to our microbiological development efforts, and a couple of very good entomologists, acarologists, who will be running our room full of dust mites.
I have one more question as well. Kind of similar to like thinking about the implant that measures your air pressure or eye pressure. Like, is there, is there a way to kind of measure the amount of dust mites in a room so that you know when you need to like use stuff, or is it just based on, somebody's symptoms? How are you thinking about that?
Of both. You can measure the amount of allergen using a commercially available ELISA, which we will be standardizing on. So you can measure the amount of allergen in the environment, compare it to the recommended WHO levels. You can see the change in the allergen levels. The number of dust mites is fairly simple. People say to me, you say they're in the carpet, up to 10,000 per square meter, prove it. Take a 2-inch strip of sticky tape, lift a rug under the edge of that, press it onto the carpet, lift it up again. Those are dust mites. So there is a way, for example, you take a dust sample from a bed and you put that through a filter and you count the dust mites. It's a simple counting process. And we will look for reduction in numbers of mites and in live mites in particular, because as I say, dead mites don't defecate. So there are various monitoring steps we can use, but one important aspect will be people's symptoms. If we see relief of symptoms, that will be a very good sign.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And yeah, thank you everyone. Thank you, David, for the great presentation and answering all the questions very clearly. I think now we can go to our last page. Our last company is AIHCON, and Tanvir will be presenting it. Tanvir, feel free to share your screen and start the presentation.
Hello, everybody. Can I see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. So I'd like to start in a way that the magnanimity and the complexity of the healthcare industry is amazing, right? From the very beginning, I was hearing all the pitch, and it's so beautiful. And we always understand that the possibility of making a notable difference is actually fulfilling, right? So as I'm actually located in the United States, and based on the data of UN, every 8 seconds, a baby is born in the United States, right? And on top of that, there are people immigrating from other countries every day. And it's like every 8 seconds, United States is getting a brand new member. And every person, every human being is actually a customer of healthcare industry, right? So that's how we actually think that, and if you look at the United States, healthcare budget is almost like 20% of the GDP, right? Which is even equivalent to $4 trillion right now. It's like close to $5 trillion. And the entire budget of, which is like actually more than the entire budget of some of the countries in the world, right? So now, why am I saying these things? Because at the end of the day, the intent of healthcare is actually to provide universal healthcare. And based on WHO, which means that all individuals and communities receive the health services they need without any suffering of financial hardship. But from my experience from underdeveloped countries and then developing country, and now in a developed country, I see that it's actually not that easy. Like the universal healthcare, the more easily we can say it, it's actually not that easy. Because the colossal and the inescapable burden to ensure universal healthcare, it's actually tremendous. And actually, it's we need extensive coordination of services. So today, here, I am Dr. Tanur Hassan. I actually finished my medical school, and then I was in neuro-oncology research in University of Chicago, then Northwestern University. And right now I'm actually working as a healthcare consultant. And here today, we are actually talking about AIHCON. So AIHCON stands for All Inclusive Healthcare Omni Network. And what we are trying to do here is like to connect the healthcare dots. So the problem, so whenever I try to talk to the investors or other peers about the problem, it's very difficult to make them understand that actually what is the problem. So if you look at your wallet, you have definitely you have in your wallet, you have your credit card or you have cash or money and everything. But do you have a digital health wallet? No, because we don't have a system to have it, right? And when we think about it, it's like an onion model. It doesn't look like a, I understand that it's if you look at the slide, it's like an onion. But if you think about it, that why actually there is so much gap, because the innovation of new health tech companies and new health tech ideas is actually adding another layer to this problem, right? So we are actually not going to the core. So if we do the core cross-sectional analysis, and then if we actually go to the deep core, and then we find out that actually the main problem is health-seeking behavior. And now you definitely can ask me that what is health-seeking behavior? Actually, I have something like a personal reason that actually triggered this. Me being a doctor, on top of that, definitely every doctor is a human being. And also, I was a patient sometime before, and I went to the hospital for some time, and that gave me a personal experience, what I would say that not very pleasant in United States. And that actually gave me this thought that actually the care coordination is not that great. Now, if we actually look at Amazon, if we look at Uber, why Uber is the Uber? Because like before there was taxi, but why now Uber? Because it's in your hand, it's on your fingertip, right? And now, if you look at Google. Why you Google everything? Because before there were books, but it was not very convenient, right? You go to library and read like 10,000 books to find out one information, but now it's on your fingertip. So now the thing is, the more accessible and the faster and efficient way of getting the service is actually the market leader. So that's what actually triggered me. And I thought that from my personal experience, which made me actually non-compliant, because all this hassle of care coordination, I feel like I don't go to the doctor. I didn't even follow for a couple of years. And that's why, if me, pretty young, and being a doctor, understanding the all healthcare problems, me being a non-compliant, is actually not very regular. And then think about all those patients in the market who are actually their healthcare is not very accessible, and care coordination is almost not there. So now, all these things together, if we are actually going deep, we are actually finding that why are we doing this? So we want to do this like we are calling it, what is the solution? So it's a very simple thing, the way we want to thought it, like, because sometimes the solution of the most complex thing is actually the most easiest thing. So when we were actually talking about the problems, we were saying that inaccessibility. We were talking about lack of care coordination. We were talking about administrative complexity, but these are kind of layers. You cannot solve one problem without addressing another one. If you are actually familiar with the, I always talk about that Jack Snyder's character, Hans Wagner, safes, like you open one safe to go to the next one. If you're familiar to that, the Rheingold, Valkyrie, the stage fright, the Götterdämmerung, so all those things, that actually amazed me. And that made me feel like, it's like whenever we are trying to solve something, it's like in healthcare, it's not that easy. It's like you have to go one step to solve the next step. And that actually gave us a thought of like having 3 products. So right now we are actually working, we already built Save It, right? So why we are saying Save It? Save It means you actually save your money. It's the system availing virtual existence. And then you Tape It. What is Tape It? Tape It is actually the tool to accelerate practice efficiency, right? And then the dots, and which is actually connecting the healthcare professionals. So it's a very simple way of actually enhancing the engagement of the patients. And that's what we are trying to do. And for that, it's actually a very small snapshot of that. Actually, what do we want to do? If we are not saving the time and the money of the doctors, we already, all the time we are hearing about it, the doctors are actually burned out and we cannot add more flames to this fire. It's a very simple thing. The way we wanted to start, that is actually you save it. And then once the doctors have enough time and money, then they can enhance their performance and their employees' performance to do the patient engagement. And from this, it's a very small thing that if we, so at the practice level, so if we think that what is the go-to market strategy, we want to work at the practice level first, individual group practices, and then already we have 30 practices. We just started 15 days back with the product, and we have 30 practices, they agreed to use our product. And one IPA, if you know, it's a Integrated Physician Association, where like a lot of different practices actually work together. And the IPA who agreed with us, they already have 150 practices. So that's how like within 15 days, we have a pretty good progress. And what is actually we are trying to do, that if you look at the total market size, it's actually almost 15, almost like 1.5 million, right? And if you look at the annual value, the TAM, the total addressable market is almost $1.9 billion. And if we go to the next one, the basic snapshot is the Tape It. It's actually, once we start doing that, because the way healthcare system financing is actually work right now, it calls fee for service, that you see the doctor based on your service, the doctors are getting paid. It's actually right now more about volume over value, right? So now but the system is actually transitioning to value-based care. and TAPIT will actually enhance the transition and help the providers. But it's I don't want to say those jargons because I heard that all the time that I don't understand. But the very basic thing, the way I want to make this more understandable is 600 million citizens or US immigrants, they're actually traveling every year, 600 million. Second is 28 million people are actually migrating from one state to another state. They're taking their everything with them. They're taking their, definitely their wallet, their everything, their goods, but they're not taking their health records or their health information with them. And that's a huge problem.
Tanvir, sorry to interrupt, but actually we are way out of time. So could you please speed up a bit and finalize?
Yes, absolutely. So then based on this, so if we look at the TAPIT product, we saw that actually there is we are trying to raise $5 million in a pre-seed round because we are working on the product. And this is to achieve $100 million of annual recurring revenue within less than 18 months. So that is actually what we are trying to do here. And yeah, and more information we have, it's the app and everything, but yeah, so that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, I can actually give more answer. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Tamer, and sorry to interrupt, but yeah.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, but since you left more question and you can answer, deeper and better.
Yep.
So yeah, who wants to jump in?
I can start here. Tamer, thank you for presenting. Just some criticism for you in terms of just pitching. I think you were going on a little bit of tangent there. I saw there were a lot of slides left, and I really wanted to touch on the product. So I think focusing on the problem, understanding the solution, then moving straight into your product is very important here, because I was kind of lost throughout the pitch, and I wanted to analyze the deck a little bit more and the product. And I mean, besides that, I'm just kind of curious on just the revenue model and kind of what your general idea is, and in terms of that and everything.
Yes. So the revenue model, it's a SaaS model. So it's $100 per month subscription cost. So that's how it is. So it's the product Save It has $100 of subscription cost, and then we are actually adding TAPIT to it once this will be launched.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Any further comment, or we can move to the another advisor?
Yes, Tanway, thank you. I agree with my colleague that the problem, the first slide that you used, where you want to connect the dots, if you add some products there, so if you make it visible what the offering is, then you can already skip 5 of your sheets, because I didn't get the pitch deck up front, so I was a bit lost to finding out what is it exactly that you're offering. Is it a software solution as a service for the patients? As you said, the digital wallet, where all my patient devices are stored together and give me access to other services, or is it just a connection device towards all these network, all these players into the network? So that's not really understandable for me.
Absolutely, that's a great question. Thank you so much for asking. So the way we want to address this is actually PGPE. It's actually provider guided patient engagement. So what you were saying, that definitely when we're calling the digital wallet, it's definitely for the patients. But what happening that due to the health seeking behavior, the way it's so it will be provider guided. That's why the Save It product is actually for the providers, the doctors, and the TAPIT product is actually for the patients. So the thing is, once the doctors are using it, they can onboard their patients to this app. So it's like in the United States, we all have primary care physicians. So that's our first target, go-to-market strategy. We are targeting primary care physicians so that every patient is they are assigned to one of the primary care physician. So whenever they're going to the physician, it's a very simple onboarding process through QR code. So that's how like we are onboarding the providers first, and then once the providers are onboarded, then the patients are getting the app from the provider's office.
But what is the real customer value here? What the customer wants to pay for?
So that's a interesting thing. So that when the doctors are using, it's actually independent to the EMR, electronic medical record, and other existing systems. So it's like the doctors, so whatever they're using, the Save It product is actually helping them for their administrative activity. So it's actually streamlining and giving them a system, automated system to have to manage their administration and also connect to their patients. So that's how like the patient, for the providers is actually helping them to run their administration and streamline, get more time, and also save money so that they can engage their patients. And the patients are actually getting the application, which is enhancing self-care. So what we believe self-care is healthcare. So the patients are getting the app and the doctors are getting the web application.
Yeah, Dominic, do you have any further question? Or...
Thank you.
Thank you, Dominic. Newsy, Javier, feel free to join the discussion.
Javier, thanks very much for the presentation. I think maybe a piece of feedback, but also just a question. I think on the 5 million pre-seed for 100 million ARR in 18 months, I think it's a super duper ambitious plan. I think would be curious as to how sort of that the roadmap looks like for that. I think one piece of feedback is that would need a lot of substantiation, because I think it would be an incredible return profile, right? And so I think that's a little bit it's a number that feels hard to believe without a lot of evidence to back it up, just because it would be such a swing out of the park in
Definitely, I'd love to provide more information.
Cool, thank you.
Tanwir, thank you for the presentation. Yeah, I think similarly, I was hoping to get more to the solutions and getting a little bit more clarity on the differentiation between the solutions. And I'm just kind of wondering from a product standpoint. So these are already launched, you mentioned, to clinics.
Yes.
So what is like your feedback that you're getting from the product strategy?
So we actually launched October 15th. So we have been working on this for almost 4 months, and then we launched the product, and it's like 18 days right now. And we have 30 providers. They actually agreed to use it. So the way the onboarding works is actually for the Save It product, it's a customized product. So we have to work on the customization based on the provider's need and all. So right now we are trying to expand our team because we don't have enough technical support right now to actually increase the more traction. But the feedback is great. Everybody, because it's actually from my experience, because I have been working with the providers for almost like last 5 years. So these are the proof problems that Save It is actually solving and Tape It is solving. It's not like we don't have to figure it out that actually whether this problem exists or not, because these are already proved problems from almost like 500 providers. So that's why like whenever the providers are getting it, it's actually one-stop solution for them, because they are managing their portals, they're managing their employees, they're managing their all the administrative burdens. And the most wonderful thing about the product is actually it's reducing the redundancy, because some of the work, like some of the offices are actually just doing the paperwork for hours and hours. So we have a HIPAA compliant, secured way of actually transferring that data. Like it can actually reduce like 4 hours of work in 10 minutes. So that's how like the doctors are loving it. and they're communicating with their employees. Is very interactive. The patients can communicate with the doctor very easily. That's why, like, I totally understand. I have to find out another way, and I'm struggling also for this. I am being very honest, because when I'm not explaining the problem, the investor said that, oh, I don't understand the problem. And when I'm showing the solution more, they're saying, I don't understand. Like, it's like either problem or solution. And whenever I'm doing one, the other is less. But that's why that's why while pitching, I try to provide more about the problem. And when the QA session, I talk, if they're investors, they want to have another session, I'd love to do that. And I can show the product and all the features, what's here. Just in a nutshell.
I'm just gonna kind of interrupt you. But I think this, like, doing something like this is a great way to kind of get that practice. And I think when you're thinking about who you're pitching to, if investors have experience investing in healthcare, or people like me who understand the problem very well, I think you can talk less about the problem, because we get the spending percentage on the GDP, we get the challenges there, but talking about reducing admin work from 4 hours to 10 minutes, getting to those specific, condensing the problem a little bit more and getting straight into your solutions and why your solutions are solving that problem will be helpful. But, great effort in trying this. Getting through these practice rounds of pitching will help you considerably.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, Tanvir, to touch on that as well, I think, your head's in the right place. I think it's just how you want to present everything. The product is clearly here. I think it's just understanding what we want, what an investor wants to see, and looking through. And that's the purpose of investor pitch as well. So I think just really being optimized with your time and seeing the product and addressing the problem, the solution, the products, the revenue model more concisely, understanding your traction to investors, your competition, and the market size addressing. That's going to be, once you address all that in a very concise and short amount of time, and at the same time explain your story, it's going to be very valuable for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much. I think we don't have any more questions, and we are also already out of time. So I think we can wrap up here. By the way, I just received a message from Andres Carbonell from Plug and Play Tech Center, another advisor who wasn't able to join. He had actually technical issues. He apologized for that, and he's actually willing to schedule a private call for all the presenting companies today. So we will set this up. And also I apologize for the inconvenience. But yeah, thank you so much for all the pitches. Thank you so much for all the presenting companies and all the advisors here. And Nuzi, Javier, Dominic. Yeah, and hope to see you at future events.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and thanks for all the pitches. Really appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks so much. Have a great day. Have a great evening. Bye.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.